NFL quarterback Aaron Rodgers has come under fire for rants on Pat McAfee's ESPN show. Rodgers falsely suggested late-night TV host Jimmy Kimmel might appear in documents linking him to the convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein, who died in jail. Kimmel threatened legal action and said Rodgers' comments put his family in danger. Joining me now to talk about what goes into a defamation lawsuit is legal consultant James Bogatay. So good to have you back to talk about this.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have questions about, what's actually happened with this, but we wanted to get to the root of what exactly is defamation.
Sure, so not to get too in the weeds and boring with the legal stuff, but on its face, it's a false statement of fact that is shared or transmitted, communicated in some way that does damage. There needs to be some type of damage to your reputation or financial damages, and some type of negligence, some type of fault or recklessness on the person's part that said it.
Well, and is this hard to prove? In this case, I mean, this was said in a very public way, so is it hard to prove, though, in other circumstances?
It can be. It needs to be an actual statement of fact, so a lot of times opinion gets roped in there. That's why you don't see satirical sites and news sites getting, sued, The Onion and National Enquirer, because it's known that those things aren't, statements of fact.
Right.
So it's pretty hard to prove.
So let's talk about why this situation in particular is getting so much attention.
Sure. I think it's mostly because these are just regular personalities. I think we're all a little bit desensitized to politicians going back and forth and making allegations and things being very serious. This is a popular sports figure and a popular comedian, so I think people are pretty enthralled by that particular back and forth.
Now, you're not involved in this whatsoever, but so we're just going to ask you,
Sure.
if you were looking at this and giving your expert advice on this, if Jimmy Kimmel were to take legal action on this, what would hold up in a court of law in this case?
So at this point, I don't think, and again, it's just my opinion, I don't think he would really have a case against Aaron Rodgers, but this is fascinating because this is one of the few times where a warning shot like this actually worked. He was warning him, hey, if you go any further than this and say anything more about me being on this list, there's going to be a problem here. So Aaron Rodgers stopped just short of saying something that would be actionable. Otherwise, I think Jimmy Kimmel would have taken action. And this is just a fascinating case of somebody actually threatening a lawsuit and it working.
Let's talk about some of the other notable cases that have come up of late. A lot of people were watching the Johnny Depp, Amber Heard trial. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so that is a perfect example of why damages are important and why it's mostly celebrities that pursue these actions. So Johnny Depp was accused of domestic abuse and immediately lost a role in the Harry Potter franchise that probably cost him hundreds of millions of dollars. So that's kind of the difference between your average person and a celebrity, is that celebrities have a lot more to lose about about lies being said about us, and so I think that's why you saw that go to such lengths that it did.
And also we saw this happen with Fox News and Dominion, and that case was settled.
Right, for an enormous sum. That's a great example of things that can be proven to be false or true. Fox just went on the news and recklessly said, hey, these voting machines are faulty. That's something that Dominion could clearly prove is false. It could clearly prove that if Fox makes those statements, it hurts them to the tune of billions of dollars. They're in every election facility in the country. So I thought that one was really interesting because Fox immediately settled that because they knew they were in the wrong.
So if something is not happening publicly or with someone of note, a celebrity, how do you know, how do the defamation lawsuits work if you're just an ordinary person?
Right. So the two things that are really important here with regular people is just cost and damages. So most of us, if somebody says something about us on social media, something like that, it can have a negative effect in our community, but it's really hard to show this cost me my job, this cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars. And unlike most areas of law where there's large sums, medical malpractice, personal injury, these cases aren't done on a contingency. So you're going to spend tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars on an attorney for a case that for a regular person might yield, tens of thousands of dollars and just not be worth it.
It might not be worth it. All right. Good talking to you about this and some good advice there too. We thank you, James, for coming back on to talk to us about this.